we have compiled various online topics where Japanese people talk about culture, social issues, etc. This time, we will summarize the comments from the online petition. We demand the cancellation of the release of Assassin's Creed: Shadows. Recently, the lack of historical accuracy and cultural respect has been a serious issue regarding the upcoming game Assassin's Creed: Shadows by game developer Ubisoft. The game is based on Japanese samurai and ignores the fact that samurai were a higher class of warrior class and should have been gokunin or servants of nobles. In fact, the first European to receive the title of samurai, William Adams, Miura Anjin, served Tokugawa Ieyasu as a 250 koku hatamoto. In this history, Ubisoft continues to misunderstand the nature and role of samurai. This is a serious insult to Japanese culture and history, and may also be linked to Asian racism. We call on Ubisoft to immediately cancel the release of Assassin's Creed: Shadows and show sincere research and respect for Japanese history and culture. We need your signature. Sign this petition to let Ubisoft know the importance of cultural respect and historical accuracy.
If it were fiction, that would be acceptable. But I absolutely cannot forgive the blatant lies that are being spewed out, such as faithful to historical fact, and Yasuke was a great black samurai. If we leave it as it is and people believe it to be historical fact, it is obvious that the story will move on to the idea that the Japanese hid the fact that black people were such great samurai, and that Japanese people discriminate against black people. In fact, that is already what is happening with overseas internet users. This is a falsification of Japanese history, an insult to the Japanese people, and clear discrimination against them.
I was a fan of the Assassin's Creed series, but when the game was released, it was a forced push for political correctness with black people and LGBTQ+. Yasuke is portrayed as a famous samurai who was bowed to, and this is treated as historical fact, and they are trying to heroize black people and spread a false history to the world. This false history of Yasuke is thought to have originated from Thomas Locklear's book, Nobunaga and Yasuke, the black samurai who survived Honnoji Temple. This false history has already been spread overseas, and the Brazilian embassy in Japan even tweeted that Yasuke was a hero. This is a falsification of history. We cannot ignore it. Furthermore, looking at the content of the game and the manufacturer's response, I could not feel any respect for Japan. It is unbearable to watch a black samurai brutally murder Japanese people. I object here.
Even if the game goes ahead with its release, it's better to voice your opposition. Because not voicing your opinion overseas is seen as agreeing. It seems that if you voice your opposition as an individual, it's crushed, so if you submit it as a petition, your opinion will remain. You should also voice your opposition in English and French. I think it would be good to make this issue into pictures or comics. It's good to release a game that is free to create. For Japanese people, it's not about skin color. However, the official version should not say that this game is based on historical fact. This is especially true for a series that is said to faithfully reproduce history. If it is released, it should be clearly stated that it is fiction in the PR for overseas users and at the top of the game. And they should not change Wikipedia to suit their own convenience. Are they going to erase him, who was brought to Japan as a slave but lived his life to the fullest? If we allow this to happen, various things will be changed, and it will be seen as unconscious and intentional discrimination against Japanese and Asians. Those who say, "Don't get worked up over just a game," will be faced with reality in 5 or 10 years and realize that they didn't mean it that way. Then it'll be too late.
Despite the fact that the game is wrong in every respect, including Japanese history, culture, religion, clothing, topography, environment, architecture, facial features, and more, it is advertised and sold as based on historical fact or supervised by Japanese experts. I think this is extremely disrespectful of Japan, discriminatory, and insulting. I never thought that a day would come when people would be discriminated against because of a game. I don't think that the black samurai are bad, but I don't understand what's right about spreading lies to the world by doing things that are different from historical fact and are not just dramatized but are even fabricated. I can't forgive them for making black people into false heroes and trying to use Japan as a stepping stone for political correctness. What do Ubisoft and the political correctness consulting company that they partner with think is political correctness? Does it mean belittling, discriminating, despising, and insulting Japan, spreading lies about history, culture, and everything else, and making black people into heroes who are full of fabrications? Also, there are many instances of unauthorized use, and using it commercially is a terrible copyright violation. Think for a moment about how you would feel if a person from the history of your country or race, who you only know by name, was made into a fabricated hero, and a work was created that was inaccurate not only in terms of history but also in terms of faces, culture, buildings, clothing, religion, environment, and seasons, and then, without any respect, it was said that this is politically correct, historically accurate, and experts were hired.
Stop calling it historical fact and start calling it fantasy. It's getting harder to say it. They are trying to rewrite Japanese history. They are trying to put the blame on Japan for the slavery that white people practiced. This incident has made me hate both white people and black people. It's a shame. This is what it feels like to have your culture appropriated. I'll never forget the racist UBI.
I've enjoyed Ubisoft for many years, but this time I am disappointed by how terrible it is and the way they have handled it. There are parts that can be tolerated as a game and fantasy, but there are many aspects that are completely lacking in historical consideration, and it's easy to imagine that just selling it would be an even bigger problem. At the very least, I think it would be better to cancel the release unless they clearly state that it is not based on historical fact.
I believe that Japanese people are not so narrow-minded that they cannot tolerate freedom of expression in fiction. At the same time, I believe that we should show a certain degree of understanding towards political correctness, which is often maligned as the cause of the decline of entertainment these days. I have already posted this comment once, but after following the opinions section of this petition for a few days, I noticed that opinions from foreigners, mainly white people, are becoming more and more common. There are many extreme anti-political correctness opinions, and some even say things like, remove black people from games. I really wanted to express my feelings about this, so I am reposting my previous comment with some additions and corrections. As a Japanese person, I would like to state clearly that you should stop jumping on the bandwagon of extreme anti-political correctness comments. This petition is about Ubisoft's lack of historical accuracy and cultural respect, and is not intended to oppose the principles of political correctness and DEI or organizations that abuse them. It's annoying that they are using this incident as a banner for anti-political correctness and justifying their actions. Personally, I don't think it's discrimination whether a fictional black samurai kills a Japanese person, a white person shoots a zombie black person, or a Japanese person has sex with a female white person. Because it's fiction. And we Japanese people don't behave in a way that goes beyond the boundaries of fiction and contributes to discriminatory ideology that despises a certain race. That's what I believe. However, the reason why Japanese people are so opposed to this Assassin's Creed incident is because it's not a trivial issue like a fiction depicting an expression that makes a certain race feel uncomfortable. Ubisoft is promoting a historical fiction that is extremely unreliable due to the lack of existing materials, such as Yasuke, the Great Black Samurai, as faithful to historical fact. Considering the fact that a false historical understanding is already being formed due to the book Nobunaga and Yasuke, the Black Samurai, who survived the Honnoji Temple, by Thomas Lockley, which is thought to be the source of the game, it is no exaggeration to say that this is cultural invasion. Furthermore, although the developer said in an interview that he made it with respect, the game uses many incorrect cultural and customal expressions. It is a clear disregard for Japanese culture. And what is probably the most repulsive criticism is the cowardly tactics of assuming that someone is a racist under the guise of political correctness, and the double standard of accepting discrimination against Asians. And yet, the ethnocentrism of imposing one's own ideas on others as if they are supreme. What is irritating is that all of these ideas are ultimately just business positions. I have heard that different interview articles are being published both in Japan and overseas. The developer must be taking advantage of Japanese users. I even feel a mockery that it's okay because it's Japanese. There are so many problems that cannot be overlooked. As mentioned above, this game may encourage the spread of the already formed false history of Japan related to Yasuke to the world, especially in the black community. I fear that this game will have a negative impact on Japanese history and culture, and I believe that these actions and words are insulting to users around the world, including Japanese people, and that we should firmly protest these things. So I have decided to participate in this petition. Looking at this incident from a bird's eye view, some people may think that since it is a game and fiction, only a very small number of people will confuse it with actual history, and that it is an exaggeration to make a fuss about cultural appropriation and historical revisionism. That is what I thought at first. However, if you look into it carefully, you will realize that the influence of creative works is immeasurable. At the same time, the uncertainty of history cannot be ignored. The following is one example. The word kanoichi, which also appears in the game, is widely recognized as a term referring to a female ninja. However, this only became popular in the 20th century, around the 1960s with Futaro Yamada's Ninpocho series. Before the Edo period, the word kanoichi was simply used as a slang term for women, and did not mean female ninja. In fact, the existence of female ninjas is not certain, and experts are divided on the issue, with many theories circulating. Even so, in modern times, many people, including myself, do not question the existence of kanoichi and treat it as if it were historical fact. The reason why it has not even come up in discussion in this incident is because many people already accept the existence of kanoichi. Therefore, it is possible that Yasuke will become established as the first black samurai in Japanese history, Yasuke, over the course of decades. This is not an exaggeration. In fact, in the article, 40th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Japan and Mozambique, in the ODA Mail magazine number 348 on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, 400 years ago, Yasuke was trained as a samurai and never returned to his homeland. It is introduced. This article appeals to the importance of human resource development and how it can improve relations with Mozambique. On top of that, it is thought that the writer used the term samurai because of the image of Yasuke, who had contact with Japan since ancient times and had an advanced fighting technique. In other words, the writer used the term samurai because it was easy to write, not because it was based on historical fact. Nevertheless, even articles published on the official website of the Japanese government do not hesitate to state this uncertain historical understanding. Also, posts have been posted on the Brazilian embassy's X assuming Yasuke equals great samurai. It has already had a significant impact. If it is not stopped now, there is no telling what kind of trouble it will cause in the future. In order to stop the spread of this kind of historical understanding of unknown authenticity, Assassin's Creed should be banned from sale, or Ubisoft should apologize and announce to both domestic and international audiences that it is fiction.
I hope that Japanese people and Japanese culture will be understood by people all over the world, and that we can all coexist better in this world. Please feel free to post any thoughts or messages you have. The creator is Japanese, but comments will be translated and read, so we would appreciate it if you would post in any language. We appreciate all comments, whether you sympathize or dislike them.